In the heart of Alexandria, under the sweltering Egyptian sun, a single lie was whispered. A lie so powerful it would topple a general, end a dynasty, and bring the Roman Republic to its knees. This wasn't a lie told by an enemy, but by a lover. This is the story of Cleopatra's final, devastating betrayal. Welcome to Hidden Past. The year is 30 BC, the world is a chessboard, and the players are titans. In one corner, Octavian, the cold, calculating heir of Julius Caesar, commands the might of Rome. In the other, Mark Antony, once Rome's greatest general, now stands defiant in Egypt, his heart and army pledged to its queen, Cleopatra. For over a decade, their alliance has been a beacon of power in the East, a fusion of Roman military genius and Egyptian wealth. They rule from a golden court, a world of lavish feasts, exotic perfumes, and a love affair that has become the scandal and envy of the known world. Together, they dream of a new empire, a grand Eastern dynasty that would rival and perhaps even eclipse Rome itself. But history has a strange way of punishing such ambition. The cracks in their foundation began to show years earlier. Antony, by officially marrying Cleopatra and dividing Roman territories among their children, the infamous donations of Alexandria had crossed a line. To Rome, this wasn't love, it was treason. Octavian seized the opportunity, painting Antony as a puppet, bewitched by a foreign sorceress who sought to rule Rome from her Egyptian throne. He waged a war of propaganda, turning public opinion so fiercely against Antony that the Senate declared war not on Antony, but on Cleopatra. It was a brilliant political move. This was no longer a Roman civil war. It was a righteous crusade against a foreign threat. The inevitable clash came at the Battle of Actium. It was meant to be the decisive showdown. Antony and Cleopatra commanded a massive fleet, nearly 500 ships strong, against Octavian's smaller but more agile navy. But on the day of battle, something went terribly wrong. In the heat of the fight, with the outcome still uncertain, Cleopatra's squadron of 60 ships inexplicably broke formation and fled the scene. Seeing her sail away, Antony, in a moment of utter disbelief, abandoned his men. He left his fleet, his army, and his honor to burn in the Ionian Sea and followed his queen. Why? Was it a pre-planned retreat? A moment of panic? Or was it the first act of a tragic, calculated betrayal? His soldiers, leaderless and demoralized, watched their general sail into the horizon. Their loyalty shattered. Within days, most of them surrendered to Octavian. Back in Alexandria, the lovers found themselves trapped. The city, once the vibrant heart of their empire, was now a gilded cage. Octavian's legions were marching, closing in from all sides. The air was thick with despair. Antony, swinging between rage and utter defeat, spent his days in seclusion or lost in wine, a shadow of the great commander he once was. Cleopatra, ever the strategist, began preparing for the end. She experimented with poisons, testing them on prisoners to find the quickest, most painless death. But she also hedged her baits. She sent secret messages to Octavian, offering to surrender if he would spare her children. Power, for Cleopatra, had always been about one thing: the survival of her dynasty. Was Antony now just a pawn she was willing to sacrifice? The final day arrived with the dust of Octavian's approaching army. A rumor, a whisper, began to spread through the palace. A message reached Antony. Cleopatra was dead. She had taken her own life in her mausoleum. Shattered by the news, Antony saw no other way out. His love was gone, his army was gone, his honor was lost. He asked his loyal servant, Eros, to kill him. But Eros, unable to strike his master, killed himself instead. Shamed and resolved, Antony fell on his own sword. But the wound was not immediately fatal. As he lay dying, another messenger arrived, breathless. The queen was alive. She had barricaded herself in her tomb and had sent the message of her death to Antony. But why? to test his loyalty, to drive him to a death she knew was inevitable, clearing the path for her to negotiate with Octavian? Or was it simply a tragic miscommunication in the chaos of a falling city? Mortally wounded, Antony's men carried him to the mausoleum. In a scene worthy of a Greek tragedy, Cleopatra and her ladies-in-waiting lowered ropes from a high window and hauled the dying general up into her final sanctuary. He died in her arms, his blood staining the floors of the tomb he had helped build. His last words were a plea for her to trust only one of Octavian's men, a final, futile attempt to protect her. With Antony gone, Cleopatra was alone with her conqueror. Octavian entered Alexandria not as a liberator, but as a master. He had one goal: to parade Cleopatra through the streets of Rome in chains, a living trophy of his absolute victory. The ultimate humiliation for the last queen of Egypt, but Cleopatra would never be a spectacle. When Octavian's guards stormed her tomb, they found her dressed in her finest royal robes, lifeless on a golden couch. Beside her lay her most loyal servants. An asp, the symbol of divine royalty, was the likely instrument of her death, a final act of defiance? She died not as a prisoner, but as a pharaoh, so was it a betrayal? Did Cleopatra orchestrate Antony's death? The Roman historians, writing under Octavian's rule, certainly painted her that way as the seductress who destroyed a great Roman hero. But history is written by the victors. Perhaps her final act was not one of betrayal, but of desperate, calculated love. A love for her children, a love for her country, and a love for a man she knew was already lost. In sending that false message, maybe she was giving him the only honorable end she could, a warrior-esque death for a love that had cost them both an empire. Their story serves as a chilling reminder that in the high-stakes game of power, love can be both the greatest weapon and the most fatal weakness. The line between devotion and deception is often erased by the sands of time. If you love stories that the world tried to forget, subscribe for more tales from the hidden past. Thank you for watching.